Hi, Christian Fabian here. Hope you're doing all great. Here's an exercise which really changed my life, and I figure I share it with you. I used to do a lot of one-on-one teaching, and back then when I moved to New York, I gave my first lesson for free for a student to check out the teacher and things like that. And I would give these two exercises. One of them I'm going to show you today, kind of a freebie, and it's also was a way for me to see where the student is at who wanted to study with you. So this is called the one note exercise. Requires you that you really know the circle of fifth. There's an easier version which I maybe can explain to you at a later stage, but basically you just want to go, and it's just for the order of the notes. So you go C, G, D, A, E, B, G flat, F sharp, D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat, F. It's just the order, and I'm using that order. It's a little harder, and you have to think a little different on the bass, but within a few minutes you played every note you have on your fingerboard on the bass, and you gave it a name to it. I had a very good friend of mine, Johan Smeets. If you see this, hi Johan, how you doing? He always, when I lived in Holland, the Netherlands, we had a band together called Time Design, and we drove to the rehearsal together, and he always said, "Don't you see the notes on the fingerboard?" I'm like, no, I don't see the notes on the fingerboard. All I saw was strings and frets. So anyway, you start out with the note C, and you start on the G string. You work from the highest to the lowest string. So you play your C on the G string, and then you find your next C, which is an octave higher. Everything at the double dot repeats. So I don't know if you can see the double dots here. We have dot number 1, 2, 3, 4, double dot, right here, double dot, and then everything repeats. So if you have a C here on the second dot, after the double dot on your second dot, you have a C again. So anyway, so you play your C on the G string, and you play the C on the D string. We don't have another one here. It's a shorter scale instrument here. And C on the A string, C on the A string, C on the E string, C on the E string. And then you go around the circle of fifth. The next note would be a G. The next note in the circle of fifth is a D. And then we have an A. And then an E. And then in B, and then we have G flat, F sharp. So at this point, we already had the G. So to make it easier, just sync G and go down a fret. So here would be your G, you go down a fret. G flat. Didn't want to have that one. And then the D, we already had the D, so now D flat. And A, we already had the A, so now you think just a fret lower, A flat. And then an E flat. And then a B flat. And the last one would be an F. And now I played every note on my fingerboard on this beautiful bass. It's a 65p bass, and I gave it a name to it. So when I was doing a lot of one-on-one teaching, I noticed that every time you do this, going through the circle of fifth, you will be faster. Let's say you do it the first time. The second time, many times it will take you only half the time. Let's say the first time takes you 15 minutes. Really, the second time would take you 8 or 9 minutes. And then the third time, sometimes it takes off another couple of minutes. It's very repetitive. The great news about this exercise is that the notes will never change. They will be there for the rest of your life as long as you tune the bass, E, A, D, G. So, and then usually the students I had who were really into it, they would go to the 3-minute mark, 2-minute mark, and we would play a little game. But in good moments, I mean, you can play in a minute, you play every note and you give it a name. coming to jazz improvisation and bass lines and everything, it really, you know, I mean, there's some books teach you different positions on the bass. Ultimately, I learned that from my late teacher, Mike Longo. He was a piano player. He said, you know, the whole keyboard is his vision, is his thing. So I kind of translated to the bass guitar. So the whole neck is one position, really, you know. I had a hard time when I started reading music. I would get very nervous in this register here, you know, would really break out in sweat and everything. And I realized I don't know the notes here that well, then I know them down here. And as you know, some of you bass players, the notes down here, they call it the money notes, because when you play and have good command in this register, you will work a lot, and that's true. However, in terms of the vision on the fingerboard, it should be really one thing, right? So anyway, I will leave it at that. You can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. My email is chrisfab@hotmail.com. My phone number is 646-522-4120. I'm also having a jazz camp in Sitka, Alaska called Sitka Jazz Week. You can go to sitkajazzweek.org and we talk about all this stuff. It's for all instruments, all ages. It's a beautiful get together. However, here's the circle of fifths. We start with the C, the G, the D, A, E, B. So we already had the C, so the B is only a fret lower, right? And then G flat, we already had the G. I don't actually have that one there. D flat. Sorry. A flat. E flat. B flat. And F is the last one. And now you played all the notes on the fingerboard, you gave it a name. And usually, you know, when I did a lot of private lessons when I moved to New York, I had several hundred students. I think I took record back in the day. You know, I would do that first, you know, as soon as I could play a little bit, I would just show them the notes. I have another great exercise I'm going to share with you later. So hope this will help. It really changed my vision. It really got me the freedom on the fingerboard I was looking for a long time. So check that out. Hope you like it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.